What is up, people? My name is Shoquafina, and I'm the coach of your Lake Huron Lanturns here in Week 10 of the National Battle Association. And this week we're taking on ZephyrXC and his Rome Braviary. Now, if you guys are excited for this battle video, please leave a like down below, as well as subscribe and follow me on Twitter for notifications when I post in the future. Also, guys, down below in the description where all these other links will be, you'll see a link to my team builder. I highly suggest clicking that as well to go check out and see what I'm bringing, because I'm bringing a few different things this week that actually do matter in this battle, such as like Brick Break on Excadrill for the Ferrothorn, stuff like that. So go check that out. It's really gonna give you some insight on the battle. But now let's just look at his team. Let's get into this. I'm not surprised to see any of these Pokemon, to be quite honest with you. He likes his Mew, he likes his Scolipede, he likes his Lando, even though he hasn't really used it so effectively so far this season. And I'm not really surprised to see Mega Absol coming, because he has the superpower for my T-Tar and my Excadrill. And Stab Sucker Punch from Mega Absol hurts pretty much anything. But luckily I have a pretty good matchup against him. I have Hitmontop here, which can get the Intimidate off, and then can kill him with a close combat if I need to. And I also have Liepard, which before Mega Evolution, if I catch him on a switch, I can actually intimidate, or not intimidate, I can actually T-Wave him and get him fully parried. So that's what I'm hoping here. Just by looking at his team, I'm guessing Ferrothorn is either going to be Stealth Rocker or his Spike Setter, and then depending on what form of hazards the Ferrothorn has, Empoleon's going to be Defog, and maybe Stealth Rock if Ferrothorn has spikes. I think Mew is actually going to be a setup sweeper slash baton passer, because Zeph loves bringing baton pass. He loves abusing things like Rock Polish and Swords Dance and that kind of stuff. So I would not be surprised whatsoever if this Mew tried to set up and pass the boost over to like Scolipede or Mega Absol or something. With that being said, we can just hop right into this battle. My Liepard is my lead here, because the only thing on his team that wants to take a T-Wave is the Landorus, and I really don't see him leading with the Landorus, because one of my leads could be my Rotom for an easy pivot there. But yeah, I want to catch everything here with a T-Wave except for the Landorus and the Absol as well. If he leads with Absol, I actually just go for the U-turn and do a good amount of damage to him. U-turn does over 50% of Mega Absol, so that'd be my play there. I T-Wave the Scolipede, I U-turn on the Landorus because I do outspeed the Landorus, or I go for knockoff and just try to do a lot of damage to it. I can taunt the Empoleon, I taunt the Pharaoh, and I either T-Wave or taunt the Mew depending on what I feel is best at the time. As I lead Sox and I see his Mew. So seeing his Mew here, this leads me to believe that either one of two things is going to happen here. Either his Mew is his setup baton passer, or it's his Stealth Rocker and it's defensive Mew. Okay? And if this is a Stealth Rocker and defensive Mew, that tells me that Empoleon is going to be the beneficiary of a Swords Dance Speed Boost pass from the Scolipede. That's what this is telling me. So I go ahead and go for the taunt turn 1, because if this thing's a Stealth Rocker, he's going to go for Stealth Rocks. If this thing is his setup passer or setup sweeper, it's going to go for a setup move like Swords Dance. So taunt is just automatically my best play, and I go for it. And we see here he actually falls for it and goes for the Rock Polish as he switches out into his Mega Absol the next turn on my Thunder Wave, and we paralyzed the Mega Absol. So a lot of things just happened in these first two turns, a lot of insight into his team. I now feel very, very, very comfortable knowing what each member of his team's role is. We see the Mega Absol is now paralyzed. That's fantastic. That's exactly what I wanted. I want it to be slow because it is fairly fast and outspeeds a lot of things on my team. Especially when he has like Sucker Punch and stuff like that. If I can fully paralyze him on a crucial Sucker Punch, that'd be great for me. We know Mew is trying to set up Rock Polish, which means he's probably not going to pass to the Scolipede. That's more than likely going to try and go to either the Landorus or the Absol here. Which now the Absol is not going to care about a Rock Polish pass because he's paralyzed. It wouldn't do anything for him anyway. So I've limited his options here by going into T-waving the Absol. So this is very, very good for me. I know I outspeed this thing. I outsped it before I paralyzed it because I'm so fast with my Liepard. And I could actually go for a big U-turn here and do over 50%, which is exactly what I do on this Mega Evolution. U-turn comes in. Look how much damage that does. About 70% as I just go out to my Hitmontop and get an Intimidate off on this thing. So I've played these first 3 turns absolutely perfectly, in my opinion. There's nothing here I would have wanted to change. This thing's paralyzed. It's at -1 attack. And we know what his Mew is, which leads me to believe that I know what his Empoleon is. So this is just absolutely phenomenal for me. I could not be any happier about this. We do see him go for the knockoff here, which knocks off my Assault Vest, which is kind of a bummer because that means I can't go up against the Landorus as well. But that's fine. I would trade my Assault Vest for that much knowledge on his team in the first 3 turns. So I actually decided to go for the close combat here, just expecting to stay in and sack this thing off. But he actually decides to switch out into his Landorus and takes about 25%. Now, I was a little surprised at first when he switched out, but then I thought about it. This thing probably has Sucker Punch. So there for my Chandelure, obviously, because I do like to bring my Scarf Chandelure. I'm sure he's aware of that. And also the ability to bounce back things like Stealth Rock and Will-O-Wisp and T-Wave. That's going to be very, very good for him as well. So I can see why he saved it. I don't really see it doing too much to me offensively, but it's still a good sort of pivot there to help him, like more of a utility just because of his Magic Bounce. But we see the close combat here does about a quarter. I don't want to stay in here without my Assault Vest. I have to switch out as I go out and do my Laundromat here. Because I can obviously hit this thing with a Hydro Pump and kill it. He can't touch me with Earthquake or Earth Power. And Sludge Wave isn't going to be doing too much to me either. So that was my play here, as he actually decides to go for Gravity because he predicted my Laundromat. Such a good play. So he, losing all of that momentum in the first 3 turns, he gains it all back with one very, very crucial play with the Gravity. So this game, 5 turns in, is already going back and forth. And I cannot stay in here. I was going to say I do not want to stay in, but I absolutely cannot. I can't risk my Rotom this early in the matchup. It's too good against the rest of his team, potentially with Will-O-Wisp on things like the Scolipede, on things like the Ferrothorn. A Will-O-Wisp would be very, very, very nice. So I need to switch out here, and the only Pokemon that is worth losing at this point is actually my Hitmontop, which I just switched into, or just switched out from. And you can see that Earth Power does so much damage. I just go for the Mach Punch here to get a little bit extra damage off. I know it's not much of anything, but it's more than nothing. So my Hitmontop goes down. I needed to sack that off. It's unfortunate, but I needed to. It's a lot less useful because his Mega Absol is already so weak that it goes down to pretty much anything at this point anyway. And I have other ways of taking out this Ferrothorn, like my Chandelure here, which has HP Ice on it, which you would know if you watch my Team Builder. And this turns into kind of a 50-50. Me sending it in here tells him, hey, I'm Scarfed and I have HP Ice. But he might also think that that is a bluff. And he might also think that I'm going to predict his switch and go for like a Fire Blast on, you know, the Empoleon or whatever might come into this. So, reading that, I decided to go for the HP Ice. I decided to go for the easy play. Because I cannot afford to lose my Chandelure right now. I'd much rather hit the Empoleon with an HP Ice and it do nothing, and then switch out to something that can handle it like my Rotom. Because Rotom handles Empoleon extremely well. I'd rather do that than go for the Fire Blast, this thing stay in, me not knock it out, and then him knock me out with a Earth Power. So that's my play right now. I go for it, and he stays in, and we knock out the Landorus. So it ended up working out. Sometimes making the simple, easy play, attacking what's in front of you, is the best idea. It took me a little while to think of what to do in this scenario, because I really wanted to click Fire Blast, predicting the switch. But Zeph knows how I play, and sometimes you need to change it up a little bit in order to catch them off guard. Landorus goes down. and that's phenomenal for us. As he actually goes out into his Mew, because now he knows I'm Scarfed, because I outsped his Landorus, and he knows I can't go for Shadow Ball here. So, I need to switch out, and I decided to go out into my Liepard, because I knew the Rock Polish was coming. And I know I need to hit this thing with a T-Wave, or potentially another Taunt, so he can't set up, Swords Dances and that kind of stuff. So I decided to go for the T-Wave here, just to help me later on in the match against this thing. Make sure it can't outspeed me. We get the full para again. I decided to go for the knockoff, and it doesn't do as much as I hoped. This Mew is actually quite defensive, and he shows that he has the weakness policy. So now I'm actually really, really afraid. And I know what he's going to do next. He's going to Baton Pass, as he actually does that into his Scolipede. I was going to go for a U-turn here to get momentum. I was going to go out into my T-Tar, sack it off, and then go out into my Excadrill, because I have the Smooth Rock on my T-Tar. Go out into my Excadrill, and then just sweep his team, because I can sweep his team at that point. Actually, no, I couldn't. I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest with you guys. I misplayed there, because this thing has 2 speed boosts. It would outsped me in the sand anyway. So I probably should have went for Taunt there to make sure he couldn't go for the Baton Pass, but, you know, oh well. That's my fault. I'm kind of glad I got paralyzed then, because that forced me to stay in and go for the T-Wave here. On his Protect, he's just trying to get his speed back up, because he knows I'm going for that T-Wave. There's a T-Wave there again. We do hit, and we see the single sweet Earthquake. It brings me down to my Sash. So I do misplay, and it does cost me. I should have went for the T-Wave on the switch, even though it didn't really matter because I got fully paralyzed. Or I should have went for the Taunt instead of trying to go for the U-turn on the Mew. To stop him from Baton passing those out. I guess it didn't really matter because I got paralyzed anyway, but, you know, what are you going to do? He gets a speed boost here. I have to switch out. I go out into my Laundromat as he goes for the Protect here and it fails. I switched out because I want to have this around for later on to stop the Mew from setting up, to stop the Ferrothorn and the Empoleon from setting up hazards, that kind of stuff. You know, just to hit things with T-Wave if I need to, like the Empoleon, in case something gets passed to it. I just really like Liepard in this matchup still, even though he's only at 1%. That Prankster is great. So we see this thing out here, and this thing's speed boosts are making it so this paralysis doesn't really do too much. I mean, he's gonna get back to about where he was before the paralysis, and I guess that's good because he can't speed boost again after that because he'd be at full. But still, at the same time, this thing outspeeds the majority of my team. So I'm really just hoping for a full para here as I go for the Hydro Pump. As he actually goes for the Mega Horn and hits and knocks me out. So this is actually kind of scary already, because I know this thing is going to be back to about average speed, or its usual speed here in one more turn, but it still outspeeds almost everything on my team. And what I'm seeing here is he's not Life Orb, which leads me to believe that he's actually Sash, which means a Fire Blast isn't going to kill him, which means I need to sack off my Chandelure and set up the sand, sack something else off, and then kill him. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty bad about this match, because he was able to really come back here with this Scolipede because of my misplay, and that kind of sucks, dude. So I feel a little defeated right now because I played those first 3 turns so perfectly. I was feeling really good about this matchup. And then in came the Scolipede and just ruined my day. This Sash is going to be the death of me, but I have to click Fire Blast. But guess what, guys? He doesn't have a Sash. He doesn't have a Sash. So, if he would have brought Focus Sash, what would have been instead of this happening and me knocking out a Scolipede, I would have lost my Chandelure, which would mean that killing the Ferrothorn would be extra difficult, which means I would have actually had to sack off something else, as well as set up the sand with my T-Tar. So my play would have been to set up the sand with T-Tar, switch into the Liepard, let that go down, let Scolipede go down to sand, and then bring in my Excadrill to sweep his team. Which it could have done, because I have Brick Break on it for the Ferrothorn. But I like this scenario a lot better. I'll be honest with you guys, I like this scenario a lot better. But right now I do not want to stay in on this because Sucker Punch would obliterate me, and I need to keep this thing around for Ferrothorn just to give me more options if I need them. So I do switch out. I go out to T-Tar to set up the sand. As we see, this thing gets fully paralyzed anyway, so not a big deal. He goes to switch out. I go for the Pursuit and knock it out. Honestly, he said he went for Superpower there, predicting the T-Tar. If he would have did that, would have been fine because I would have outsped him with my Excadrill and killed him anyway that turn. And anything he switched into would have had to take an Earthquake, or 2 Earthquakes even, because I had outspeed the sand. So I would have got the sweep 100% there with my Excadrill. So that's fine. As he goes out and do his Ferrothorn here, I actually decided to stay in here and go for the Roar on his Leech Seed. Now my play here is go for the Roar. Hopefully he goes into Mew on the Roar, and then I can go for the Pursuit and knock it out as well if he decides to switch. But he doesn't. He actually goes into Empoleon. So that's not what I wanted at all. I have to switch out. I go into my Liepard to sack this thing off. He goes for Stealth Rock, that's fine. Then I go into my Screwdriver here. I still have 5 turns left to sand because I do have the Smooth Rock. So EQ knocks this thing out. Brick Break, I'm pretty sure knocks out the Ferrothorn. If not, then 2 Brick Breaks knock it out. And then the Mew, that gets knocked out by an EQ as well. So Screwdriver can just clean up here, in all honesty. I go for the EQ, and Kingpin here has the Shoquaberry, and it does not knock him out. So at this point I'm thinking, oh god, this this game should not be this close. Zeph, you need to stop bringing so much heat on all your Pokemon. If I went for Brick Break there, it would have been a lot different, but I decided to go for EQ because I didn't even think Shoquaberry. And he goes for the Scald and knocks me out, so that was devastating for me. I go into my Chandelure here because I know I outspeed. I calced it. Shadow Ball kills this thing no matter what. I don't want to miss the mix. Oh my god! I don't want to risk the miss on Fire Blast. So I go for the Shadow Ball, knock this thing out, and he knows I'm Scarf. He's known it for like pretty much the whole game. So he sends in his Ferrothorn here. I have to go out into my T-Tar. I need this thing around. I need its Fire Blast later on. So I go out into my T-Tar on his Leech Seed, and he goes for the Power Whip. Does a tremendous amount of damage to me. I go ahead and roar this thing back out. I'll save it for last, and I go for the Pursuit here. It puts this Mew 100% in Fire Blast range. So now it just comes down to, can Chandelure knock out these last 2 Pokemon with Fire Blast? That's what it comes down to. I click Fire Blast. I hit. Mew goes down. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, unless this thing is like Focus Sash, which knowing Zeph, it might be friggin' Focus Sash or something. Or if I miss. So there's a few ways I could lose this game. If I miss, and he hits me with a Gyro Ball and potentially crits or something, that'd be game over. If he's Focus Sash, that could be game over as well. Especially if I miss and he's Focus Sash. Oh my goodness, that'd be done. But, I have to click Fire Blast here. I'm locked into it. He goes for the Protect. I don't know, probably like when football they call the timeout to freeze the kicker when he's kicking the field goal. I feel like that's what Zeph's trying to do here by clicking the Protect. But we hit the Fire Blast and the Ferrothorn does go down. So, oh man, that was a stressful match. Good game, Zeph. That thing was as back and forth as it could possibly be. I made one misplay after the first 3 turns of just perfection. Like, I'm still smiling about the first 3 turns, but then I'm really upset about the rest of the game, except for the finish, really. But Chandelure coming through with 5 knockouts in that match. 5, that's huge. And if I would have stayed in on the Absol, it would have been 6. So, Chandelure just showing how great of a pickup he was. I'm so glad I got him from free agency. He's doing so much more than Blaziken ever would have on my team. So that's huge for me. MVP right here. And, yeah, there's one more big win for us. We need to keep the wins coming. Next week we go up against, I mean, like, the next 2 weeks we're going up against the 2 best players in the league. So I don't know anymore, guys. We're going to try and squeak out a win here. If I can win one of these next 2 matches, I think we're going to go ahead and call that a good 2 weeks for us, because this is going to be absolutely tough, just really, really hard to do. But yeah, we get the win over Zeph. That puts us to 5-5. We're at 500 here, 10 weeks into the season. We need to pick up some more wins in order to make the playoffs. I want to finish with at least 8 wins. So it's going to be kind of tough to do that. If we can finish with 8 wins, I feel like we're going to have a good chance of making the playoffs. So if you guys liked this team, if you guys liked this battle, please leave a like down below. Also comment down there saying what you would have done differently. If there's another Pokemon on my team you would have brought instead, or like anything that you would have done differently in this match to make me win a bit bigger against Zeph, because anytime I can beat Zeph by a lot, I want to beat Zeph by a lot. So yeah, subscribe to me if you haven't. Follow me on Twitter to be notified when other battles and team builders come out. My name is Shoquafina. Thank you for watching. I'm out.